It was great, but I couldn't really tell what you were doing.
Okay, well, that was the point. Okay. You get to see the effects, but we can't really explain that because, you know, everybody in the room, if you go out and try it, okay? First time I saw this stuff, actually I saw it on the video. And I went to introduce myself to the man that did it. And I asked him to knock me out with it because I didn't believe it. It looked totally fake, as if I'm sure it looked to some of you out there. It's not something new, okay? This is old. I mean, this is just rediscovered after God knows how many years. When we went to the Orient to learn the martial arts for Americans, when we went to the Orient, you got to remember it was during a time of war, okay? They were not going to give us good stuff. What they gave us was a shell, okay? And it just resurfaced of what the true intent of the shell was of the martial arts, okay? We have anatomical weaknesses in our body. You understand as we get older, the older ones of us understand how frail the human body really is, okay? The body is so weak, but you have to really know how to access those weaknesses. And the study of Kyusho is basically just that, the study of the weaknesses of the human body. It's not a magic thing, it's not a miracle thing, okay? There are some people that believe it depends on Eastern medical philosophy. There are some that believe that it works on the neurological system of the body. My standpoint is I really don't care as long as it works, okay? The idea of it is to get yourself out of a situation and not get yourself into a further situation with the legal system. I have friends that have been, or black belts, that have been put into a situation where they had to defend themselves or their spouse or their kids. They've used their art, they've been taken to court, they've got their salaries attached for damages, and the time that that person that they injured spent out of their job. That's not fair. I was teaching out in California about 15 years ago. There was a story that hit the newspaper that one man walked into his home, his wife was being raped at gunpoint, he got the gun away from the guy, shot the guy, didn't kill him, which was his mistake, okay? And he got sued and put in jail for shooting that assailant. You know the legal system in our society now. It's not really great for the person that's defending themselves. It goes more toward the criminals. So this is a beautiful system because, as you see, these guys are still up there talking. We're going to go out for dinner afterwards, okay? But they weren't going to fight, okay? The situation was ended just that quick. Kyusho means literally translates as first second, okay? In the first second of the confrontation, the person should be incapacitated or at least within your control so it doesn't escalate. Now, we could have escalated those techniques or I could have de-escalated those techniques. Okay, Chad, I've already said that. Chad Siebert, could you give him a round of applause for taking that hit? If I was in a position where this guy was just bullying me or maybe even put his hands on me, what I did with him is I touched a point right in through here, okay? Now I can just push down in through here and just get started, okay? This room isn't padded, so I gotta be careful. I could just easily reach up and put him down to his knees because there's a nerve that comes in through the collarbone that I just accessed. That was my first escalation, okay? If he looked like he was gonna grab for my knee, he's gonna get a second one, okay? The rule is, a pressure point causes pain or local dysfunction in one particular area. This just happens to play around with the knees a little bit. As you notice, his knees just instantly dropped out. Okay, you can dysfunction different joints in the body from different pressure points. If you hit 2 points that link up simultaneously, the pain will register in the middle. All right. So I'm not going to do this to him for demonstration, but if I touch this radial nerve right over on this side and then messed around with this, he's going to have a much more severe reaction. Okay, and I'm sure you just saw how quickly he just dropped just then. Okay, so if I wanted to put him down really quick so he might bang his knee on the ground and maybe not get up and chase me so fast, okay, then I might have latched onto him and then gone right into the collarbone. All right? And you got to also understand that this is not high profile stuff. Okay, you watch some of the martial arts. Could you come in with a punch? Okay, you hear this and you hear this. It's a scream. Okay. How high profile is that? Everybody on the block just saw you do this karate technique on this guy. This guy puts his hands on me and I just do this, okay? Nobody really sees me do too much anything. You okay? Yeah. Let me help you out. Okay.
It looked more like you were trying to help him.
You must be drunk. You stay down there. I'll get an officer. Okay. Now I got to hit my finger right on that point. I look like the good guy. I'm helping this poor drunk. Okay. I'm not walking up to him and going, bang! All right. Okay, which you can do if something goes wrong. Okay. The martial arts are a beautiful thing. This is the high end of the martial arts. This wasn't usually taught until 5th or 6th degree black belt, or you were 40 years of age or older. Okay? First of all, for the responsibility factor. Okay? Second of all, for the maturity not to only handle the information, but to understand the information. Okay? We're messing with the internal structure of the body. The martial arts we were given is to break the exterior. Okay? I'm not that brutal a person. Okay? I used to do it. Actually, I did get into it for a while. It was kind of cool. But as you would get older, okay, it isn't the main thrust. The main thrust of the martial arts for me now is to keep me walking, so when I'm 90 years old, I'm not like in a chair, all right? That's the main thrust for me. But if I can develop a self-defense system that can stay with me, okay, until I'm 90, that's when I'm gonna go, okay? Now, that was just an idea of what happened with that. Now, if you hit 3 points simultaneously, the neurological system of the body cannot handle this, and it just shuts off. We have a self-protective device with us. You've all hit your funny bone. You all felt what that feels like. That's what a Kyusho strike is going to feel like, basically. Okay? Except for when you pass out real quick. You don't feel a darn thing. Okay? Did you feel anything on that knockout, honestly?
Yeah, just falling back and...
Okay. And Daryl, what did you feel?
Nothing.
He doesn't even remember going
these
down
guys,
to the floor.
I felt these guys hit me in the back of the neck.
To wake him up, okay? So there's actually not even pain involved, which is kind of interesting, okay? Unless you, of course, you decide to interject that pain, all right? You have total control of what we're doing. Now, okay. I don't want to pick on someone my own size. This art, the beauty of this art is it works better if the person's bigger than you or stronger than you. Okay? You've all seen the martial arts symbol, the Yin and the Yang symbol. Okay? Chad was a little slimmer than I am. Okay, actually a lot slimmer than I am. Okay? Hello.
Oh, yeah.
And there was light. Okay, he's a lot slimmer than I am. He is more yin compared to me. Yang is like the sunlight compared to the moon of the yin. Okay, night and day. Okay, strong and weak. He's yang compared to me. Okay, there is no set yin person. There's no set yang person. He's just a bigger, stronger individual than me. So this art is going to work to my advantage because of that. All right, not the other way around, where most arts you got this like 260-pound guy in your case, and you're looking at him and you weigh 160, and you're going, okay, what's going to happen here? It's going to be hard. Now, there are angles and directions for every pressure point in the body. There are 361 pressure points on the human body that you can access. The area of activation on a person about his size is about the size of a quarter. Okay? And as my instructor, George Dillman, is always very famous for saying is, if I put 361 pressure points on this man's body, I'm going to be able to find one in a panic situation. All right? But each one of those has a separate way to activate it, a separate angle to hit it, so there is a study to it. It is an art. Okay? You see what we did? We go out there and we do this stuff and it looks like, oh, just a light touch and the guy's dropped on the ground. There's some study to this, folks. Okay, this isn't going to be a cut and dry. You're going to buy a video and, man, you're a mess, and now you're going to go out and do it. Okay? It took me 3 years to be able to accomplish just putting someone down and out. 3 years. I had one pressure point that took me 6 years to get the thing to work for me. Okay? But there are some things that you can do that are very quick and easy to do. All right. Pressure points. Let me show you a couple for your quick knowledge. Okay, halfway between the ear and the tip of the jaw, there's a pressure point. Okay, it's called stomach 5. Okay, it hits down and in. Okay. By the way, this is not limited to any martial art. You don't have to study a martial art. Okay, you don't have to study a kata. Okay, as long as you know these points and are able to do something like this, something like this, you can do your self-defense. all right? And the more you practice this walking around the house, the better off you are with an envisionment. Now, if I hit this pressure point, okay, and I'm actually going to hit, we'll get it this way. If I hit this pressure point this way, it jars his head, which is really, that's kind of brutal. You see this in boxing all the time. You don't see an awful lot of knockouts in boxing, okay? How many hits in the head do those guys get before they actually stumble, okay? You're in a panic situation. I don't know if anybody's been in a real situation, but this guy's coming at me with a full head of steam, and I pop him one in the head. He doesn't feel it, okay? And he's bigger than me. He's just laughing, okay? Now the fight's on me. I'm nervous, my knees are shaking, my adrenaline's flowing, my peripheral vision's shutting down, I'm having a difficult time, okay? But if I can catch him on the way in, okay, with something that makes him stumble, now it's me that's going after him, okay? That angle and direction is actually down and in, okay? Now I'm going to show you something kind of interesting and why it doesn't work in boxing so well, all right? You just saw me hit him 3-4 times in the jaw, not a reaction, okay? The angle and direction, first of all, is downward, but watch. Nothing yet. I'm a male, he's a male. The reason this doesn't work, and the reason why you see all these funny little moves in katas that in martial arts, you've all seen them, okay? It's because it shows you how to actually hit that point correctly. If I hit that and you just saw me doing it, nothing happens. This foot either needs to be up off the ground or in what's called a cat stance, because that changes the electricity in my body to affect the electricity in his body, okay? So leg off the ground. You see, I'm not abusing him on the other side, by the way, folks. Okay, that's a revival, okay? You're gonna see the difference. That's why you don't see it in boxing working so much, is because those guys are flat-footed and they're coming in, bam, like this. That's why you don't see it happening accidentally in fights. Because I don't care how trained you are, you get into a panic situation in a fight and you're doing this. Okay? It's just a natural thing for man to do. Okay? It's a natural thing for any animal to do. Watch animals fight. They come flailing in like this as well. Okay? Now, here's the key. I had my foot up on that because I used a fist. If I had used the palm, okay, and I'm sorry again, okay, you're going to see a little bit of a reaction. If I'm a male, compared to a male, I have to hit him with an open hand slap. You're not going to see a guy hit a guy with a slap, all right? You see a guy hit a woman with a slap, which is completely wrong, okay? Hurts like a bugger, okay, but it's not going to do this, okay? I have to hit with an open palm on this side, or the back of my hand because of my energetics. Again, yin and yang, positive and negative electricity. Okay, we are just like an electrical outlet. Our brain is the battery. It sends the electricity down our spinal cord, which is our circuit breaker. And it goes out into the wiring of our home, okay, like through the peripheral nerves. What I'm trying to do is put a hairdryer in this socket, a hairdryer in this socket, and then flipping the switch. You know what happens at home, okay? Everything goes out. That's what we're doing here. Okay, you got it, okay? For a male, the right hand palm is yang energy, okay? If I hit the yin side of him, let me get a little clearer on this, I'm sorry. Front of the body is soft and weak compared to the back of the body. So the front of the body is going to be yin compared to yang. Okay? The right side of the body is stronger than the left side of the body because of the way the heart is. Heart lies right in the center, folks. Okay? But it leans to the side. When you go into for an EKG or a stress test, they put twice as many diodes or little wires on this side. All right? For those of you that do kata, you do kata with a right, a left, and a right. That's to tell me that the left side of his body that I would be striking with my right is twice as weak as the left, for those people that understand karate. If you don't, all you need to know is, if you're a man fighting a man, open hand here. Backhand here. It could be a fist, doesn't matter, just the yang side of your hand, because this is the yin energy, okay? Same thing, this or this. Any questions so far on any of this? Gets to be mind-boggling. Yes, ma'am.
When you go into your cat stance, does it still work if you're wearing shoes?
Absolutely.
That doesn't affect the energy flow that you're trying to?
No. We have found sometimes that if a person is wearing sneakers and you're not, okay, that can affect it sometimes, but we found overrides to it. Okay, so we can get through that. Okay, let me see. Check, cover you.
Yeah, question.
Yes,
So
sir.
you saying, if I understand the yin and yang, you talk about a positive side of a person and a negative side of a person.
Right.
So then, if I'm facing him, then it's my right hand is my positive side. Facing him is, his left side is negative to me. So then when I come along and go bang, I'm creating a electrical charge.
Short circuit.
Yeah. And, okay. So then if I go backhand, then I'm coming back across using this side, coming across the opposite side to create the same.
That's a good friends are for.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, that's exactly correct, okay? And that's what we're trying to accomplish, and when you do those funny-looking katas, it's usually the strangest-looking moves that are the deadliest, okay? Please understand, this art was not designed to knock people out for demonstrations, okay? This was designed to kill people on a battlefield, okay? And you gotta understand, too, that those katas, those kids, sometimes those boring katas that you have to do to make your rank, okay? Those were designed by people that actually used those techniques on the battlefield that saved their lives. The old masters didn't go by the campfire and say, that feels good. Yeah, I'll do that, okay? They did it for a purpose, okay? Our job is to ascertain what that purpose is. And we know the purpose wasn't to get up in front of a bunch of people and knock someone unconscious. It was to kill that person so they could move on to the next person that was trying to hack them. All right, so there is a deep, deep meaning to this. Okay, forgot where we were going with this, but okay. All right. For a female fighting a male, okay, your inclination is more to grab or to slap. Okay, it's not going to work for you. That works for male against the male. For a female, though, you want to slap this person, you lift your leg, okay? Or you could drop into a cat stance. You have moves that do this in kata. You do. Okay. If I hit him on stomach 5, okay, could you get him back with me just in case? I'm not going to try this. I'm not going to try and knock him out. I'm just hitting. Oh, we'll get into that later. Okay. Okay. Let's see how I can explain this. If I hit down on Chad with this, that's going to work very, very well, okay, because of male to male. But if I do this, it's not going to work as well, all right? But a female, okay, you need to do that cat stance for that to work. Okay, actually, I'm not going to do this one at all, okay? I will show you, but stay there. Okay. It is your mind that guides the technique. It's not the power. You saw out there, I really didn't use an awful lot of power. It's not strength. It's intent. Now I'm going to hit Chad on the stomach 5, okay, with a hard hit, correct angle and direction, correct energy, but I'm going to try and put my mind somewhere else, okay, and watch the reaction in his eyes, okay. You'll see it in their eyes, okay. You might see the knees buckle as well, so just keep your jaw tight, okay, so I don't hurt you. Correct angle and direction. Look at him, okay? I had my foot flat on the floor like I'm supposed to. I hit him with the right weapon. I hit him at the right angle. Nothing happened, okay? If I put my mind into it, okay? I said, you're going down, sucker, okay? And that's what put him down. It's here, folks. And you always hear those stories of the old martial arts master saying it's in your mind, okay? How many movies? It's in your mind. It is in your mind, okay? It's in your hands too, okay? Let's get into a couple of things on, so how much time do we have on this session?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
10 more.
Okay. Let me show you, let me calm this down just a little bit. I got kind of into the meat and the potatoes of it all at once there. Okay, I've already Okay. Okay. Dojo TV got a bunch of tapes out there, okay, and there's very good information. My instructor is on one of those tapes, and he goes through some arm points. I'm just going to quickly recap them for you here. Okay, if you want more information, I am not going to cover the same information on that videotape. But I just want you to understand what the possibilities are for self-defense. Okay? Could you tighten your fist for a second? If I tried to physically bend this man's hand down, I'm not going to do it. If I was much stronger, yeah, I could. Wrist is a very strong thing. Okay? Tight. It's not going to happen. You can even see I was kind of digging into the guy's hand as red. Okay? When all I need to tighten that up, okay, is to touch this pressure point to release that joint. What happens, you got to figure that electricity's coming down the outside of this person's hand and it's trying to make its circuit back home. Okay? Because electricity just doesn't fly one direction. It has to be grounded somewhere. It has to go right back to a circuit. Okay? If I can interrupt that, okay, tighten up again, okay? If I can interrupt that, then there's no way that this can physically be held tight. All right? So if he was grabbing me, okay, and actually grab me with both hands, okay, and we're taught something like this, hold hard, this, okay, it's not going to work. When all I have to do is pinch this point right in through here, and I got this person's wrist off and bent, and all I've done is dug my finger right in through here, and, sorry, that burns. That feels like fire in there, okay? And then from there you've got whatever the technique, you can even close and do whatever you need to do. Okay? So again, you can escalate this. When you're playing with the energy in the body, all you have to do is understand where the energy goes and how to shut it off. And that's basically what Kyusho is.
How do you do that? Say a guy 6'5", 260 pounds, 270 pounds, and he's swinging at you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Oh, I understand.
trying to knock your head off.
I understand it. First of all, somewhere along the line, the martial arts told us we should back up and block. I don't think so. If he comes in with an attack, and I back up and block, what's going to happen? He's going to come back in, and he's going to keep coming right back in. Okay? If he comes in with the attack, I'm right there. Okay? Got to punch right at me. Right there. Now, what you didn't see, what you felt, is I just tapped him in here and spasmed his lung out a little bit. That's how you do it. You practice. Okay? If someone's coming at you and you play defensive, then you're always going to be playing defensive. Vince Lombardi, I think it was, said the best defense is a good offense. You okay? Yeah. Cool. I'm a small man. He's not expecting me to come back at him. Okay? What Kyusho is designed to do, remember, 1 second. Kyusho is the first second. Okay? He's mad, he's angry, he's coming at me. I'm taking him first. Okay? I'm not going to give him the opportunity to come back at me. Okay? Another thing I'm going to be demonstrating later in the other session is that. That simple thing that anybody can do. And it's not to trip them like you see in boxing. The body naturally wants to ground the energy from the brain through the floor. Okay? If you're holding an electrical wire, okay, and you're in water, you're in trouble, right?
You did.
Okay? If you're in sneakers, you're not in trouble. Okay, because of the rubber. It seals it off and it protects you, right? His body's naturally grounding energy, so he can take energy, and my excess energy that just went into his rib was just shot through the floor. Okay? If I had stepped here and stopped that energy from going anywhere, this gets worse.
That work with shoes on too?
Mm-hmm.
So then, if he's, I'm full of questions here tonight.
Go for
Learning
it.
too much.
The better your questions and the better everybody's in here questions, the better the seminar is going to be, and you're going to understand this art more.
So if a guy is coming at me and swinging, I step inside him, step on his foot, and hit him right up under here, I'm gonna drop him.
Not necessarily.
Well, I know it's gotta be quick, but
First, second.
Not necessarily.
Okay,
I don't know how he's coming at me, okay? Again, there are 361 targets. The way we practice in our school is we don't have set techniques. I teach one kata to make a black belt, okay? We don't have set techniques. All we do is we practice aiming at points while the person's in motion. And that's all we do. It's simple. If you know the weaknesses of the human body, you just aim at it. You don't have to take a martial art to do that, okay? You all know you got a funny bone. You all hit it, right? Okay. This nerve, the ulnar nerve right in through here, there's another nerve point right here and right here. Okay, and I could give you the names for them, but I'm not going to, okay? You hit them here or you hit them here, okay? And it will feel just like you hit your funny bone. So if this guy grabs me, okay, that's the technique. Just as simple as can be. Now, if he's coming at me enraged with that movement, if you can, I'm going to take him. Why can I do that? Because that's all I practice. Okay? And I'm not practicing something sophisticated that takes gross motor skill, fine motor skills. Slow, come in with a punch. This would take fine motor skills. I was going to take him down, but the wall was too close. Okay? That takes some fine motor skills. If my adrenaline kicks up, anybody have their adrenaline kick up on them? Everything goes, huh, and you go, oh, okay? You can't fight like this, okay? So what you have to do is you have to learn to work with that, okay? I lost my train of thought, but gross motor skills. You train just gross motor skills getting into the points, okay? Now, if he's coming in slow, so I don't have to nail you with this. If I train constantly to hit a point, come in again, to hit a point, come in again, to hit a point, okay? To hit a point, okay? That's all I train, that's all I'm going to do. Okay? It is a mindset. And again, you've got to take it to him. Don't let him take it to you.
I have a question.
Yes?
Do you have to study acupuncture charts, or you just pass it down?
No, you don't have to. All of us do, okay, because we're into the deep ends of the arts, okay? Yeah, I'll do it. Later in the seminar, I'll show you one of the higher end of the arts that we're working on now, okay? And we're going to knock someone out without touching them. The electricity in the human body can jump. If I have an electrical cord hanging out of this wall, okay, and I put a 90-degree bend in it, and then that cord is insulated, that energy is going to go right around that cord, right? Even if that's insulated, there's energy leaking out of that cord right at that junction. You go to high-tension wires, you're not going to see any birds hanging around some high-tension wires, okay? I passed by this place in California, it was a nuclear power plant. And I'm driving, and California's pretty desert-like, you know, in Southern California. So I'm driving down, and all of a sudden I got this creepy feeling. I didn't know where it was. I was just going down the Pacific Coast Highway. I'm cruising around, and I get this eerie feeling. And I'm looking around, it's pretty barren out there. Okay, it's a desert, but usually you see a bird or something. There wasn't anything around. As I got creepier feeling, I just noticed that I was passing a nuclear power plant, okay? There's energy coming
Eddy
off
currents.
electrical.
It's called eddy currents.
It's nasty stuff,
Yes.
okay?
Electricity.
But that energy that leaks out of cords, that energy that leaks out of power plants, leaks out of you. And I'll show you how to use that later, okay? I guess that's about time for this session. Thank you for your
So can we locate a class that teaches just this?
Absolutely.
I've never heard of it before.
It's an emerging art. You're going to hear about it. How many people here have already started to notice that everything, even mattress sales now, include the word pressure point in it? Okay? Okay? Pressure point healing, pressure point everything. You're going to find it. It's coming through.
Ladies and gentlemen, what did you think so far?
Through the arms and the legs. They use an awful lot of blood. They use an awful lot of energy. What we want to do is try to get the energy back up into the person's head. So if you cross the legs, sit them up straight like this, you've got an energy stop here. You've got one right at the knees. The ankles are also crossed, so you stop energy going there. So nothing's really like flowing out of the body, Okay, it's staying pretty much in the upper region. And that's why we'll cross the hands too. There's another reason why we cross the hands. It's easier to lift the body because it's like dead weight. If you've ever tried to pick up a baby that's sleeping, okay, that does not want to be lifted, or a drunk person that's just like completely out of it, it's dead weight. It's extremely hard. By folding the arms, it makes it easier. Okay, but it also stops the energy going off. Now I'm working with the circuit board, the main circuit board of the body, okay, and the electrical system right up and through here. All right, that's off. This is still on. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to activate that. Now energy runs down the body this way. Okay, what we need to do is, because everything is drained out of the head, we need to get it right back up into the person's head again. So after I've seated him up in this position, and upright, I'm going to support his head. Remember, he's sort of dangling. He's out of it. Okay? I'll put a leg up to brace him so he doesn't fall back and forth. Okay, this is for safety. Right on the side of the neck, there's 2 cords of muscle that come right down in through here. Okay? What I need to do is slap this cord of muscle here, which has the spinal accessory nerve, and I go right across the head to the opposite side. Okay? Yin and Yang again. If I've attacked him on this side to knock him out, I need to revive the other side. Okay? And if I knocked him out on this side, vice versa, I have to wake him up on this side. For demonstration, we'll say I just knocked him out over here. I would take my hand, okay, let his head lean forward so I get this at a stretch, because if you do this and you hit, you got skull and you got shoulder. You need the head to come down. You slap up, and you'll see a jolt of energy. It's like, if you've ever felt electrical current coming out of a socket, okay, or touched a lamp that had short-circuited, that's what that feels like. It goes right up into your head. At that point, if he's awake, okay, that spurred him on, and it does 90% of the time because we don't take him out all that deep usually, okay? I will take my hand, not on the spine, but right across from the spine, 1 inch, okay? There's a whole set of pressure points. If you're into acupuncture, you can look at one of the acupuncture manuals and you'll see a ton of points coming down. I take my palm and I just push energy right up into his head. And then I like to circle around, and that's a personal thing. There's a ton of different ways to revive after you slap a person's back of the neck. And healing becomes very intuitive, just like the Kyusho. It's a hands-on art, okay, just like a healer, okay, a hand healer. They develop it over time, and you will develop this ability over time as well. So what I'm doing now is all the energy that's coming down his back, I'm bringing it right back up into his head. And it sort of feels like his blood pressure is going up on the inside. And I massage right in through here because there are 2 headache points. Some of you that have seen trigger point or you've worked with acupuncture a little for headaches. There's a point right here that releases headache. Now, if I shut his head off, come a little later, he might have a headache. So I try to short circuit that right at the beginning so he doesn't get any problems. Okay? At that point, what I would do is, if it depends on how deep I've knocked this man out, I would come down to his arm. Now, I basically started the central core of his body back up. What I need to do now is restore the energy that I shut off, or stopped from flowing. I want to get it back out because I want to restore the balance and the harmony of the body, because we're actually stopping that harmony. Okay? I'll just pull right down the arm, and you massage each finger, and you pull right off the end. Okay? Energy likes to exit our fingers. And this is a great way to balance out the energy. It will pull all energy out of the head area, okay, where, again, this will stop or maybe prevent him getting a headache later on. All right? And I would do that to both arms and both sets of toes. Okay? And there's other massage techniques as well. But that's basically how we wake people up. Okay? There's one other important revival that we need to know, and that's a heart revival. And I don't usually do attacks to people's hearts because you never know exactly what condition a person's heart is in by just looking at them. Right? There's a pressure point. This was actually used by a friend of mine, Jim Corn's wife. Her son was on a baseball field and got hit in the chest with a baseball, one of those statistics. She revived his heart with this technique. Okay, and I'm going to show you now. I don't recommend you go out and think that you know how to do like a CPR thing, okay? That the legal ramifications are way too deep. If you're not certified in if you're certified in CPR, do CPR. If you're not, don't touch the person, okay? It's not your place. But right at the base of the shoulder blade, right in through here, halfway in between the shoulder blade and the spine, there is a set of 3 points, okay? Bladder 13, 14, and 15 if you know acupuncture, okay? If you don't, all you have to know is it's in between those 2 structures near the base of the shoulder blade. This is in between 2 intercostal spaces. It's the heart associated point, which means this is in direct correlation with his heart's energy. To restart the heart, okay, what I need to do is shoot it across his body, because if I go straight in, remember what I said earlier, that the heart is center, but it leans over to the left, okay? The energy on the heart needs to be revived over and through here, but if I go straight through, it's not going to go to his heart. I never want to hit him. If he's had a heart attack, I'm never going to hit him on the left side, okay? That's just going to further damage him, okay? So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this heel of my hand right here, this little bone. I'm going to hit with a clockwise twist right through the chest, okay? And he'll feel a jolt. Now, he's got a fairly decent-sized back, so I had to hit him a little bit harder. It depends on the frailness of the person, how they're built. I have some guys in the school that have this back that you wouldn't believe. Well, you see some of these guys walking around out here today. You're going to need a sledgehammer to get into some of them backs to revive. But that's the angle and direction that you would hit. Now, one of the more important things is after he's up and conscious, is you now need to come down to the hand again and do that. But when you do that, you need to go to the left hand. In a heart attack, the left arm is the one that goes out. It's the one that gets the pain. It's the one that goes numb. Okay? So you need to pull the energy, especially out the little finger. Right? That's paramount to getting him back into good health. Okay? And those are our 3 revivals. What the head wake-up has now taught me to do, other than wake up this person that I knocked unconscious, is how to deliver energy with my open hand. Okay? I taught you the first one, which taught us how to deliver energy with a closed fist. Now we're learning to do it with an open hand. We're also now learning yin and yang on the body, front to back, left to right. And this is very important in Kyusho studies. Okay? You can knock a person unconscious staying on just one side of the body. When you crisscross the right and the left side of the body, you got much more damaging effects. If you go front to back on the body, you got much more damaging effects. If you go top front, bottom back, you got much more damaging effects. It gets worse as you go. So again, as I said before in the earlier seminar, you can bring this to whatever level you want to take it. So these revivals are key to understanding this man's energy, okay? And especially if I'm going to be practicing on him, how to revive him so he doesn't have any ill feelings later, okay? And also to learn the art a little better and how to attack. Thank you, Dad. Yeah. All right. We're going to get into some arm points now. Okay. Earlier, I just demonstrated a wrist point right in through here. Okay. This is a point where it releases the person's ability to hold a wrist tight. Now, when someone grabs on, okay, to teach someone to just try and pull this hand away, it's just not going to happen if he's a much larger and stronger opponent. By utilizing these weak areas, by just pushing in, I can weaken the person's structure and body. Now, you also notice something very important that happened. A knee-jerk reaction, the knees give out. When I've properly done a Kyusho technique, okay, I'm going to see a bodily reaction. I'm not going to just feel his wrist go. Something else is going to go. The body weakens. This does a couple things for me. First of all, it indicates to me that I'm on the right track and I can keep going, or that guy's now down in a humbled posture and it's probably de-escalated the situation. Okay, I wouldn't want to escalate if I'm at a party or something like that and a relative comes up and just says, hey, come here with me, and I do something like that. I don't want to hurt the individual, right? But I do want to make sure that that de-escalated him. Another important thing that it does in a real self-defense situation, I've just taken 2 viable weapons away from him. Okay? He's not going to step toward me. He's not going to step away from me. He's not going to kick me. It also now, if you watch, if I face this way for the camera, okay, if I do this, the other hand is not viable either. I have taken his weapons away, and all I've done is touch one point. And it seems easy. When the guy's enraged and coming at us, is it going to be that easy? No, it's not. Okay, you're going to need to work on it to get it to be responsive for you, okay? Just like anything, like driving a car. You've been driving your car, and all of a sudden you wake up and you go, well, how did I get here? Okay, it's automatic, and that's what it has to be. The art has to be turned automatic. Okay. Now, on the inside of the wrist, right in through here, there's another area. And I'm not labeling these points, okay? If you know acupuncture, I could give you the acupuncture names, but you just need to know the general area, okay? This point controls the person from being able to hold a fist tight, tighten your fist. If I rub right here on the radial nerve, there's a little indentation. Feel on your own hand. Okay, there's a lump of bone here. Now there's a little indentation right in there. You need to get in that indentation. I'm going to ask you to take your middle finger and just rub it back and forth. It's a little irritated. It's a little sensitive, isn't it? Yeah. Okay? That's a soft pad on yourself. Now, understand too, you'll find sensitivities on yourself, but you're never going to knock yourself out. Okay? You're not going to be able to do this stuff to you as much as you can to another person because it's a self-protection system that nature has given us. Okay? If this man has a tight fist and I go in with that, that hand has to open. All right? So again, if he's grabbed on... Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. There's a little bit of energy. Okay. If he grabs onto me, I can take his hand off me. It's as simple as that. Okay? I don't need to escalate the situation anymore. I can just take him right down to the floor and just say, well, that wasn't clever. Okay? And this man is not faking this, and if you want to feel a little bit of this, I'll walk around.
You're not resisting that,
No. By the way, this man has been in the arts for over 30 years. Okay? So, Tim, give me your wrist. I'm not going to put you on the floor. Whoa! Am I joking? You want to feel this too, man? Okay. Feel that sensitivity in there? Okay? And it's harder for me to do to you because you're yin compared to me. He's yang compared to me. So it works better on him. You want to feel it?
No, thank you.
Yeah? No? Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah? Why not? What the heck? Right? Feel that yeah. It's annoying. You got to watch on, but we'll go through that. You feel that sensitivity in there? Yep. That'll weaken out the body. Okay? By the way, there was a man called Gichin Funakoshi. Gichin Funakoshi is the man that was responsible for inventing Shotokan karate. Okay? He's also responsible, in my beliefs, for taking the pressure points out of the arts. Okay? He was an Okinawan, asked to teach in Japan. The Japanese, you got to remember, think of the Okinawans as the lower class. Okay? Would an Okinawan master go to Japan and give them everything they knew? Probably not. He held things back. Okay? Now this goes off on a tangent, but I'm going to go there anyway. Okay, and this is going to be controversial, but again, I'm going to go there anyway. Okinawan kata has what's called a cat stance. Japanese kata have what's called a back stance. In a cat stance, you can protect your groin, you can protect the nerves on the inside of the leg that I've already that we'll discuss later. It also gets my foot off the ground for the energetics that I was discussing earlier as well. Okay? What he did, and this is highly mobile. Okay, this leg can come up for a guard, it can come up for an attack at any time. What he did was he put it back on the leg. This leg is now stationary temporarily. This is going to be very hard for me to move. And he made him low. All right? I can't move out of this stance too quickly. If this enraged man is coming at me and I drop into this stance, I'm cooked. Okay? It also gives him this leg as a target. Okay, whereas before, this is going to defend, kick, sweep, do whatever it needs to do. Okay, or enter energetics into the human body. I don't know why I went in there, but we'll go on. Okay. We already mentioned this point will cause paralysis of the arm. Okay. There's a point right in the back of the elbow, right in through here. It's called the Golgi tendon receptor. Actually, the Golgi tendon is inside the arm. There's just a receptor out here. Okay. This point does not respond to a hit. Okay? I'm gonna hit hard. That's a hard hit. I did not break the man's elbow. Okay? And let me turn it around this way so they can catch this on the cameras. This responds to a rub. And again, there are 3 ways to activate a pressure point. You can hit it, you can rub it, or you can touch it. This one's a touch. You saw me bend his wrist just with touching it. Okay? This one's a rub. Okay? This one's also a rub. If I hit it like you saw, nothing happens, okay? If I rub it, his leg goes away from him, okay? And he's down onto the floor. You want to feel this one?
Yeah. Sure, I'm trying.
Okay, you don't need to roll it up. You have to be able to go through clothes too, folks, okay? And when I get to the ribs, could I borrow that? Thank you. I'm going to show you how you can use this stuff through that. We've used it through Kevlar. We've used it through a motorcycle plastic protector. We even have someone, oh, sorry. We even have someone that's doing knockouts through a football helmet. That's kind of cool. Anyway,
Whoa, shoot.
you okay? Did you see his legs go kind of goofy?
Wow.
Okay. It just didn't weaken his elbow. I weakened his whole structure.
Man.
Sorry about that. Okay. I also know that his whole body is now set up for follow-up strikes for up to 20 minutes. Okay, we'll cover that later. Okay. So, we got a pressure point here that releases not only his elbow, okay, and there's, my instructor says that he's done some neurological studies with some doctors, and it says that it releases it in 1/5 of a second. Okay, this is in physiology books. Okay, there's a point now, halfway between the elbow and the shoulder, that also does pretty much what you just went through, but it's not a rub. I could rub him, and his arm's going to be red, and he's getting an Indian burn. Doesn't respond. Touch, well, we know this isn't going to work. Okay. Now here's where the police could really take note, okay? When they go to cuff someone, they do this. This man's instant instinct on anybody is to withdraw.
That's right.
When I do this, he strengthens up, now I gotta fight. When all I needed to do was this, I don't have the fight, okay? Or if I'm a little bit leery about that because I haven't really practiced that much, a tap will do the same thing. Now I can cuff him. Okay? Now I can put them in a squad car. You can do a bunch of different things. Okay? This is a hit point. Sorry. Okay. Energetics. If I hit this here on this side, it does nothing. Okay? Stay still. You can hear that's pretty decent. This is the energetics. That's what moves them. Okay? I did this on a muscle-bound person, a guy that was lifting weights, okay? And I knocked him loopy, okay, just with this one point on the arm. The body does not react like you think it's going to. This is a humorous story. I'm sorry, I interject a lot of weird things. Anyway, I thought the guy was going to go down, and I wanted to lay into it because my instructor told me that if you hit a bodybuilder on this point, you could cause a heart attack. Well, I didn't want to cause the guy a heart attack, but I wanted to see what laying into a bodybuilder type would do. So I laid into him a little bit. He didn't fall forward. He didn't go forward like this. His legs came up this high, and he belly flopped down. It is the weirdest thing, and I'm not going to show that to you because it's a hard floor or anything like that. But watch the legs when I tap. You see how they just instantly shoot out, okay? Now, responses, okay? I know exactly what his body's going to do. How much better is my follow-up going to be able to be if I know where he's going to be?
Real good.
If I got two people on my case, okay, and, yeah, cover it for a second. Gary's over here, they're blocking my way down the street or whatever, okay, and I start trying to fight both of these guys, I'm gone. If I can take a frontal shot and make sure that this guy is going down in front of this man, my self-defense is that much better, okay? Now, there's one surefire way, kick him in the groin. But men have a surefire way to answer that. This, it's a natural protection, okay? We even got caught to do just that, okay? We knew, okay? They knew, okay? If I can take out a leg to put him down into a position where his head is now coming down into him, I know exactly where the fight's going to be, and then I know exactly what I'm going to be able to do with that individual, okay? It's probably enough for you, huh?
No.
I'll take a seat. Gary, cover your arms for a second.
Can you hit him inside the?
Yeah, we're getting there. I just go off on tangents, like I said. Okay. This point right in through here is a lung point, a lung-associated point. Now, I told you a story about my instructor that did a knockout inadvertently on this guy's lungs. I didn't tell you the whole story, but he went to do a knockout, okay? And that's what shut the guy's lungs off, and that's why I mentioned that lung revival. This does have a correlation with the lung, and if you watch acupuncture, or if you get into acupuncture, it's called lung point number 5, okay? This will also bend out the person's legs, okay? And it's not force, you see this, okay? But I just happen to know the angle and direction. My hands are used to doing this, sorry about that, okay? What we want to do is attack that. That's not really a push point. That can be pushed and it can be hit. There's two methods on this. Some share methods, okay? There's no cut and dry anything in this world, okay? That's a hit point. In fact, he's got a good sized forearm. I'm lucky that worked actually, because there's probably too much meat over the nerves. Okay, if I went out to one of those guys out you see out in the bodybuilders, okay, I'm never going to get through a forearm to get to this point. Okay, but this is a great point that the guy's grabbing onto me. I could just like tag. He's right down there. He's in my court. Okay. Sound good. Okay. All right. I'm going to just take a couple more points on the arms because I really don't want to beat on these guys all day. They're going to get beat on, but then that's why they came. And thank you guys. Okay. I do appreciate it. As a point, and I'm not going to hit these. I'm just going to describe them. Okay, because these are just too nasty. Okay, right on the head of the bicep here, right on the head of the bicep up here by the deltoid muscle. In between the bicep and the tricep, could you just roll that up a second? You got the ulnar nerve that comes down in here. Now you got these bodybuilders, they have these huge muscles out there. They got a huge muscle down here, they got a huge muscle up here, and they got this major gap right there. They've actually opened the door, okay? Because they stretched here, they stretched that nerve out and they made it weaker. If I punch this, I guarantee he'll fall on the floor. Guaranteed, okay? He won't use that arm for a good long time, all right? I can hit him right in through here, or here, okay? And again, I'm just going to point for the cameras here, here, and here, okay? And this one does respond to a push, okay? Sorry in advance. If I multiply by using this and this, there's a greater reaction. And what happens is the pain now, because I'm now on 2 points, like I had mentioned earlier, it registers in the middle. It's just like two electrical currents, okay? If I put electricity on your leg up here and electricity on your arm over here, that electricity surges toward the middle and you got a crash, and that's what's going to cause the damage, okay? All right, that's it on the arms, okay? Let's go into the head just a little bit. We've already mentioned stomach 5 right down in here. I like to work in what's called dermatomes. I don't like to work with so much the point, the exact point, okay? Because how many people want to go buy a book and then open that book to find out gallbladder 20 or stomach 5 or what is a stomach 5? What's a buccal nerve? Hit them here, okay? Now, I give 3 main targets to my students, okay? There's one right on the jaw here. There's one in the back of the jaw right here, okay? And there's one right at the base of the skull, right in this hollow pocket, right in through here. I give them these 3, okay? This point and this point might be a little bit more recessed, but now I can clip into here. If I've done something like taking out his leg, those points are now gone, but there's another one right there, and I'm ready to go. And all I have to do is concentrate on a little band. A dermatome, by the way, if you've ever seen a topographic map in school, you see how the hill is divided into layers, okay, with lines? Your body is layered the same way. Each vertebrae in your spine is a dermatome, okay? And the Orientals figured out how these interconnect in the body. I know that this dermatome here connects a ton of points. As a matter of fact, I've got one here, I've got one here. Okay, I've got one here, I've got one here, I've got one here, I've got one here. I actually got one there too, but it's too close to really count. And I got one here. So all I have to do in a panic situation that you were asking before is get my hand in this dermatome. Okay? And I know that the dermatome here is connected to the dermatome here, which is connected to the dermatome here, which is connected to the dermatome here, 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 and here. So I don't have to think, okay, I have to hit this pressure point, and this pressure point. All I have to do is hit 3 dermatomes, and I'm there. Okay, now let me get into the points just a little bit more. Stomach 5, as I described earlier, has to be hit down and in at a 45-degree angle. Okay? That goes down and in here. You do not glance. One of the biggest problems I see for a beginner trying to learn this art and trying to make this work for themselves is they'll glance like this, or they'll hit sideways like they're shooting over that way. Okay? You need to drop this one down into the neck, down and in like you're striking right into the throat, okay? That's the correct angle and direction for that. The one on the back of the jaw has to be hit toward the tip of his nose. If I hit it just back to front like a scraping movement, there's nothing that's going to happen, all right? I have to hit it to the tip of his nose to get a reaction. This point here has to go into the center of the head too. So I think you're getting the drift now. Everything has to go inside. You have to project your energy in the person, okay? Not just hit him and hope for the best. Okay, he's a big guy. He's going to take that. He's going to keep coming, all right? You have to interject that, all right? So I'm just going to give you a slight tap right on the gallbladder 20, sir. Okay. This is it, okay.
Goodness gracious.
You sure? Now, what happened, why he's having such an effect with that, is because I've been playing with his nerves. I've set him up. I've been playing down here. You notice I was working around in here. I touched him down here. Remember, there are certain touch points. These are touch points. I touched his feet. I touched both of them, actually, and I set him up big time. So that little tap coming back to front is going to cause a lot of damage. All right, okay, Chad, come on. Okay, now I'm skimming through this, okay? But I want you to understand, and I'm going to show you a couple things in a little while that'll tie all this together. The body points, okay? You have a dermatome of body points. Everybody knows the solar plexus. What you don't know about the solar plexus is the angle and the direction to hit it correctly, okay? And what it affects. This is what's called an alarm point for the heart meridian. That means that if I put energetics into here, I'm messing with this man's heart. Okay? The angle and direction, we're always thrown strike straight in. And yeah, that hurts like a bugger, okay? And I'm sure everybody here has at least one time in their life gotten the pleasure of that one. That is only superficial to the pain that you can inject going at the right angle and direction, okay? If I hook that down and in at a 45, there's a nerve ganglia right here, which means a whole batch of nerves that look like a mess, okay? There's a nerve that shoots up at a 45. If I hit that nerve straight on, a nerve is designed to stop the energy 1/3 of the way down for a self-protective device. I can override that by catching that nerve right on the top and punching down. It's segmented just like a finger, okay? And what if I did this or this or this, I'm going to feel the pain right here. If I do this, it jams all the way up into, that's the idea of hitting the nerves on the right angle, okay? So there's one right there. There's actually one 2 inches below that too that I can hit. That's the stomach alarm point. It messes up the person's stomach. It actually controls a flap on your stomach that keeps the food in. So stay away from this one, okay? Unless you got a pivot.